After 6 long months of physical therapy and rehabilitation, I can finally say that I can run again! Woo! Yeah! Stop whatever it is you're trying to type on chat saying, Jack, why did you go to the Amazon rainforest? Jack, the Amazon rainforest is dangerous. Jack, there's nothing to do in the Amazon rainforest. Because those are the type of comments that have prevented me from visiting this beautiful rainforest until late last year. Alright everyone, welcome back to Jack Travels JT Fam. Today, it's not going to be the usual travel video that I produce, but I wanted to share a story of how I injured myself in the Amazon rainforest in Colombia late last year. As you guys know, I am a type of person who loves to travel, really immersing myself in another country's culture, tradition, and custom, so much so that I feel like my comfort zone is when I'm uncomfortable. That doesn't really make much sense, but it's a feeling, guys. So in Colombia, my sister and I tried a lot of things. We ate different Colombian cuisine. We learned a lot about the history, the culture of the places we visited, and we also immersed ourselves in the busy cities within Colombia. Later, all of that said and done, my sister and I parted ways. She went back to America, and I headed down south to Leticia, Colombia, where I began the Amazon rainforest excursion alone. There, I lived with the local indigenous Ticuna tribe. I've also tried arasa, which is this sweet, sour kind of Amazonian fruit as an ice cream. And I've also swam in the Amazon River. I'm truly grateful for all the memories and experiences that I've got. But now I'm gonna dive deeper into what happened that day. So my injury happened on the last day. So on the last day, I went to the indigenous village of San Martin de Amayacu, which is this tiny, cute village, composes of 600 people. The houses there were built out of wood and rustic metal. There were chickens running around, you know, very rural village-like. And I remember that I had lunch, and then after lunch, we would play a game of soccer. So after eating lunch, I decided to join in on a game of soccer with mostly young men from that village, roughly ages 18 to 25-year-old. So we all walked up to the soccer field, and the first thing I noticed when I looked at the soccer field was that the soccer field was on pavement, not grass, which at the time to me was not too concerning. But now when I look back at it, it was actually very concerning because my shoes were actually worn off and had no friction, which meant that the entire game I was sliding left and right. I could not stop on a dime. The game lasted no longer than 15 minutes. There was a lot of pushing, a lot of shoving from the guys, from myself, and I have not done this before, but I am about to show you guys a few seconds of the clip of how this went down and how I got injured. This is a trigger warning too. If you are squirmish or you do not want to see how I fell on my leg, then you can definitely fast forward. Let's go, guys. Jack Travels are here, represent. Oh, they're good. Oh, no.
Bien. Bien, gato. Bien. Bien, gato.
As you can see, it was a rough game that ended up in a terrible injury. But this was only the beginning because I was 6 hours away from the nearest town by boat in the Amazon rainforest. After falling and injuring my leg, I felt a rush of adrenaline coming into my body. And at the time, there was two things I thought of. One was that, what happened to me? How did I fall? What happened to me? Second is that, how am I gonna get to the nearest town or to the hospital from this tiny village? The injury occurred at 5:30 p.m. When I felt a pop in my knee and blood rushing all the way down through my legs. I was not in extreme pain, so I thought that it might not be be a broken bone or a dislocation to the bone. The bad news was that there were no boats until tomorrow at 7 a.m. So leaving the Amazon rainforest by boat with no lights, 6 hours to the nearest town was definitely not an option for me that day.
I'm gonna get an x-ray. I'm gonna get medical advice from a doctor as well and see what's going on here. It hurts a lot. It hurts when I move it, and every time I apply like pressure on it, it gets worse. So I was like limping to the bathroom and I just can't move. I'm in my tent right now, and yeah, this is life, you know. Sometimes accidents happen and you move on. I kind of like was blaming myself, like, oh, I shouldn't have played with them and stuff like that, but you know, it was my decision to play. I wanted to play. I just did not expect that this was going to happen at all. So wish me luck, everyone. You know, I wish I can finish filming for you guys. I feel a little bit just disappointed because I wanted to finish the episode, and you know, I put a lot of effort into like coming to Colombia and trying to make sure that you guys are knowledgeable on everything and getting to know the Ticuna tribe.
So I had to stay overnight with no painkiller, no ice to wrap around my swollen leg, and I also had a swollen leg. So when I went back to my cabin, being carried by 4 people with a stretcher, I got a pillow and I put it on my bed so I can elevate my leg to help with the swelling. And I just remembered, you know, how dirty I was because I did not shower 3 whole days, even swimming in the Amazon River. I did not shower and I felt sticky, I felt dirty, I felt like I was just really disgusting. And trying to sleep with a swollen leg, injured knee was just terrible. And that night I just remembered it was the worst night of my life. I also remembered that I woke up in the middle of the night sweating a lot and feeling very cold, and I was shivering. I felt like my body was going into shock, and to be honest, at that time I was extremely scared. I could not text my mom, could not reach out to my friends. There were no Wi-Fi, there was no connection, and I just felt like I was gonna die that night. And I remember just taking out my phone and watching every single minute pass by, waiting for it to be 6 a.m. That's when I was gonna meet with my guide to leave to go take the boat. So once 6 a.m. came, my guide came and knocked on my door and they put me on the stretcher. There were 4 guys there and they were all carrying me to the boat. I laid across the boat, like, you know, vertically, and the conductor was there, my guide was there, and we headed off 2 hours from that village to the Amazon River. I remembered on that boat ride, it was very bumpy, and every bump it just sent a shock to my spine in my body because every bump I could feel it. It was also the dry season in the Amazon rainforest, so there were a lot of tree trunks that were appearing from the river. So when the boat was going, we kept hitting tree trunks. And we also got caught in the sand, and the conductor had to get out and lift the boat up so we can continue on our journey. So during the whole boat ride, I just, if you can imagine me, just laying on the boat, looking up at the sky. I also felt chills all over my body. It wasn't chills from the shock, but chills because I felt a sacred power of the Amazon watching over me. I can't explain that feeling because it's just a feeling, but that feeling felt like someone was watching over me. The birds were all chirping. The water was very calm. Everything was just quiet during the boat ride, and you can hear the motor of the boat going into the water. And I just felt chills all over my body and goosebumps coming up because I felt like the Amazon is watching over me and taking care of me. So for 2 hours, we got from the village to the Amazon River. Once we got to the Amazon River, we had helpers from the big boat that arrived at 7 a.m. take out the stretcher and also carry me into the big boat. And then from the big boat, we took 4 hours to go to the nearest town, which was Leticia. Big boat, the one that I took to go to Leticia. And yeah, it hurts a lot. It hurts actually more than yesterday. So we're gonna take this 2 to 3 hour boat ride to Leticia, and then I'm gonna be transported onto another boat to the city, and then I'm gonna get some crutches and walk to the cab, and then we can go to the hospital. No, so once we got to the town, I had to pay some other people to help carry me from the port all the way to the town of Leticia. And once we got to Leticia, I paid a taxi driver to bring me to the hospital. All right, guys, so we made it to the town of Leticia with my injured leg. And now we're gonna take a taxi. I just wanted to go to the hospital first to check if I didn't break anything or dislocate anything. And then I'm gonna go fly out to Bogota. I might have to wait all the way to the United States to get this checked out because I don't think I have like a lot of time in Bogota. So, but I wanna make sure first. We're here in the Leticia. And when I got to the hospital, I immediately went to get an x-ray, which was surprisingly very cheap for $15. I just wanted to determine if my bone was broken, if I had a fracture, if I had a dislocation anywhere, which was out of my mind because I was not in pain, but I just wanted to be sure. We are at the radiology department in Leticia, and I'm gonna get my leg checked. Either to see first if it's broken, second to see if it's fractured, or third to see if it's like dislocated or anything. And then if it's not any of those three, I will fly out to the US. But if it is any of those three, I will fly to Bogota, where I will seek medical attention there. So I went inside, got an x-ray, and the results came in indicating that I did not have any broken bones or dislocation. So in my mind, I felt like I was fit enough and ready enough to take my flight back, which was that night, to go from Colombia to go to the US. All right, guys, so we are now at the airport. We got the x-ray right here. We got the x-ray. So I really think now it's either like a muscle tear or like a stretched ligament or sprained ligament, something in that manner. So I am ready to fly out. I got my crutches here. I'm gonna be using my crutches, going up the airplane, flying from Leticia to Bogota. And then from Bogota, I have another flight at 11 p.m. tonight to go to Florida. So my flight from Colombia was at like 12 a.m. I came to the US 2 p.m. the next day. Once I came to the US, my girlfriend quickly took me to the emergency room at the hospital. And there it was determined that I had an ACL tear. It was also determined later that week I had a blood clot and also a meniscus tear. And the treatment for an ACL tear, meniscus tear, and a blood clot was to first take medicine, blood thinners, and make sure that the blood clot is gone, and then undergo surgery. Before surgery, I remember I couldn't really walk. I was using crutches, and I was also using a knee brace. And I remember I was also on Eliquis, which is the blood thinner, before surgery. A couple days before the surgery, my mom, she flew in from Boston to come take care of me, which was amazing. She's actually a person that, she's 65, and she does not fly for anyone. She is kind of scared to fly, so when she heard that I got this injury, she made no hesitations, and she flew from Boston to come see me and really helped me with my recovery and surgery process there. First couple days when I came back home, I was on bed rest, so I could not walk, I could not do anything. I was on bed, and that was my life, guys. I was on painkillers because I had a lot of pain. I took 2 painkillers, and I was still in tremendous pain. The pain felt like you're taking knives, you're taking pins and putting it into my knee, and it just felt like you're scraping the skin off of my knee. It felt like the skin of my knee was falling off, and it got to the point where I almost fainted because of how excruciating the pain was. And even my mom saw me, and she was actually crying because she did not want to see me in that state. So as you all know, with surgery comes recovery, and the recovery timeline for me was to go to physical therapy. Physical therapy for 6 to 9 months. I would go to physical therapy twice a week for 6 to 9 months, working with my therapist and really challenging myself through discomfort, through fatigue, through pain, and really challenging my body and my leg to recover to the state that it was before my surgery. And I just realized at that point that I had a lot of mental toughness, and I really persevered because every single day I go to physical therapy, my knee was bothering me, it was painful, painful, it was hurting, but my mind and inside my mind was telling me you have to keep pushing. You have to keep pushing yourself, because if you don't and you don't move past that pain, then you will never recover. And at that point, I just kept pushing and challenging myself through every day, every week, and I got to this point where I am fully healed. Overall, the story of how I traveled to Colombia in the Amazon rainforest might have not ended the greatest, but now looking back at the journey, it was filled with joy, laughter, and a mix of emotions that I would not trade for anything. If I hadn't gone to Colombia, I would not have experienced the way of life, culture, and connected with the most genuine people that I've ever met. This injury truly humbled me and taught me to be grateful for the health that we have. I also realized how much grit and mental toughness I had. So with that being said, Jack Travels JT fam, I hope everyone watching on the other side and also those who have supported me all of last year through my ups and also through my downs, I want to say thank you. I hope that we can continue to create memories together and travel across the world together, visiting countries this year and also next year and the next to come. So I know that there are better days ahead, and I am very much looking forward to it. But I am going to be concluding this video because now I'm about to go on a run. I have finally fully healed, and I can't wait to go on a run because tomorrow, I shouldn't tell you this, it's a surprise, but I have to catch a flight to go to another country, my 42nd country, and I will bring you guys along with me. So this concludes it. I will see you all on the next video.